Turning tax delinquent properties into an income machine. Oh my God, this is my sweet spot. Okay, you have to watch this whole thing. I'm going to show you how you can take a tax lien or tax deed certificate and turn this into what I call the lien machine. Okay, I coined that phrase years ago, and I'm telling you because it works. I mean, think about being able to print money in the basement legally. Okay, that's what we're going to cover in this video. By the time you're done with this, you'll be as excited as I am. Okay, let's go. Oh, actually, let's do this. I got a little bonus for you. Okay, I've got a sweet little gift. So stick around to the very end, and I'll show you exactly how this could just explode through the whole deal. And just stay with me on that. So let's just talk about it. How do you turn tax delinquent properties into this income machine? First of all, let's just talk about what a tax delinquent property is. Okay, let's just start at the very beginning. And why are these so profitable? First of all, okay, every single property in the United States, every single property in the United States has to pay property taxes, okay, to the county, not to the state, not to the feds. This is a state mandated law that each county interprets. That's important. Remember that, put that in your back pocket. The county needs property taxes. This is probably the most pure form of government that is. What they're doing, they're not just printing money. They don't have any money until you pay your property taxes so that they can afford schools. 65% goes towards our school systems. And you've got police department, fire department, roads, parks and recs, hospitals, and it goes on and on. So, you know, it's kind of one of those things. Once you start noticing something, you start noticing it everywhere. I think that's going to happen with this. You're going to start going, oh man, this is everywhere. That's because of that. That's because of this. I remember one time I was sitting at a restaurant with my sister and we were looking at this park across the street and they had this exercise system that went all the way around where you stop at each one of the stations. And I just kind of shook my head. She goes, you don't think that's a good idea? I says, I know for a fact, because our mom was a park planner, that probably cost $150,000 in tax dollars. And I said, Lori, I want you to sit here and watch how many people actually use that system. It would have been better for the county to give people free memberships that wanted them. I mean, you know, I was being sarcastic, but you literally start noticing everything is like, what are you using this money for or not? So if you don't like what the county is doing, then you can invest somewhere else. So the county says this, okay, we need this money. Once a property owner becomes 1 year delinquent on the property taxes, you and I can purchase those tax liens. Now, let me stop you right there. You are not purchasing somebody's property, okay? You're not buying a property. Matter of fact, you're never dealing with the property owner. You're dealing with the county. You're going to give them the money, them being the county. They're going to give you a certificate that goes on file down at the county courthouse, and this bears an interest rate. Now, that interest rate can be anywhere from about 16% on the low side, 18, 20, 25% on the high side. What that means is when the property owner comes down to the county to make good on those property taxes, they're going to the county, right? The county sees that you're the lien holder of record, and they'll go ahead and issue you a check for your full interest rate plus your investment. Not a bad way to go. It doesn't matter what happens in the stock market, bond market, all that other good stuff. So there's that aspect of it. I know I'm not trying to blow through that, but I want to get to the meat and potatoes of all this so you get the concept. Now, there are some states out there that say, we're not going to do that. We're not going to sell the lien in 1 year. And I don't have any opinion on whether they should or they shouldn't. It's just the way it is. So there are some places that say, we're going to wait 4 years or 5 years. We're going to let them be delinquent before we do anything. Now, if the property owner comes to the county within that 5 years and pays, there's going to be a penalty involved, but you and I aren't involved in that. So at the end of 5 years, the county says, hey, enough's enough. Everybody else is paying their taxes. Okay, think about this. If they didn't have some kind of a delinquent system, no one would pay their taxes. It doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong. I pay it when I feel like it, okay? So they have to have some mechanism. And the mechanism they've chose for most of the around the United States is a minimum of 4, 5, 6, or 7 years, depending on the state. They say, okay, enough's enough. We're going to take this property and we're going to bring it up for sale. Here's the kicker. If they bring it up for sale and you raise your hand and they say sold, you get that property for the back taxes or whatever you bid on it, thus eliminating all liens and encumbrances. You heard that right. No mortgages, nothing sticks to that. Now, I've got lots of videos on that talking about the laws and all that good stuff. You're just going to have to go with me on this. So what I'm saying is this: if I'm buying liens, I'm getting all this money, 18, 19, 20% on my money when they redeem. If they don't, I can foreclose on the property and get it free and clear, or I can accelerate that whole process and go directly to a deed sale, put my hand up and buy a property for the delinquent taxes. So let me give you an example. So I bought a property for $27,000 in back taxes. Okay, it had an ARV. You're gonna hear this from me a lot. Okay, ARV is after rehab value of $275,000 to $300,000. You're like, really? Yeah. It needed some work, maybe a little $50,000 to $75,000 worth of work, but I got it for $27,000. The person had 1 year to redeem and pay me back my $27,000 plus a 20% penalty. If they didn't, okay, I got the property free and clear for the $27,000. 5 months later, they came in and said, hey, we need to redeem on this thing. I said, absolutely. Here's your bill. It's $27,000 plus the 20%. I'm kind of simplifying the whole process. What do I do with that money? I go out and buy another one, okay? And eventually, one of them doesn't pay. So what I'm looking for, if I can get, I don't know, a couple of those properties, maybe 1 out of 20, I'm good to go. But if I know I want to get a property each and every single time, I go directly for the deed sale. I know for the fact that this property is going up for sale for delinquent property taxes. I know it's a property I like. I determine what my maximum bid based on value is, and I go to the sale. Here's what I do know for a fact. When I put my hand up and they say sold, I own the property, okay? Free and clear of all liens and encumbrances. Imagine buying a $248,000 property, I don't know, somewhere in this country, and only paying, say, $30,000 for it. Putting a little elbow grease in there, maybe, I'm thinking of one off the top of my head. We get about $78,000 into it. The thing's being sold for $238,000. Boom, okay? You do that 5 and 6 times throughout the year. Let me tell you something. You've created a diabolical machine that you can't stop. And here's the great thing about this. It's not like you have to spend a lot of time doing this. Once I teach you how to walk through this whole process, this truly is a part-time passive income. And it drives me nuts when people say, oh, I don't have to do anything for this. Oh, there's a little bit of work. It's not simple, but it's easy, or it's easy, but it's not simple, something to that effect. Once you understand the whole process, you're going to become a machine. I mean, think about this. You either get 20% on your money or you get a property free and clear. What could be better than that? And here's the beautiful thing. I'm giving you some broad brush strokes here. So you're sitting there going, okay, this sounds really good. And you're looking at the needle, and I'm almost done with this video. So I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to do you a little favor. I'm going to give you a gift. Okay, click on the link down below. It's higginsmethod.com. Okay, I got a brand new course that I'm going to give to you. That's right. Okay, it's very extensive. Boom, boom, boom. Goes from A to Z, how to make money with tax lien certificates. And as an additional bonus, if you want, I will send you out a booklet, America's Best Kept Secret. This is a bonus I will send you out as a gift. Put the address in there and we'll go from there. Thank you very much for paying attention to this. I look forward to working with you. God bless and good luck.